Hello everyone. So I just filmed my end of year reading wrap up for the second time and I pulled all the books off, which I wasn't originally going to do but then decided to do that anyway. So let's put them all back on the shelves together, shall we? I did reorganize my shelves and that's why I figured I'd film this, because I'm basically putting them back where I did them, and then at the end of this video you're gonna have a bookshelf tour as well, so stay for the end of that. Sorry guys, I forgot I had to film like another little bit for the reading wrap up. So anyway, let's get into it. Let's start putting books away. Let's go through and get all the books now because they're all everywhere. That's the end of this portion of the video. Now you're gonna get the bookshelf tour. It's an in-depth bookshelf tour. I go through every book with you. Things may look a little bit different right now to what they do in that portion of the video, just because obviously I've just kind of reorganized them a little bit. But yeah, see you there. If you've been here before, you guys will know the black shelves are my TBR, my white shelves is my reds, and the ones behind me are my special editions. Now I've changed it up a little bit. This is still TBR, this is still red. That does still have special editions, but I've also added to it as well and made it, you know, favorites and special editions, because I don't buy special editions of books that I didn't like or didn't love. If I didn't like the book, I'm not getting a special edition of it because I'm not spending the $40 on it. So without further ado, grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's get into the bookshelf tour. Okay, so I should be able to do most of it from about this height now, because maybe except for like one shelf on the white and the special editions and favorites, but when I redid these shelves and these shelves, I hadn't touched this, and then I was thinking about it and I was like, I'm always having to get up when I do my TBRs, and I know that sounds super lazy, but like I sit right here when I do my TBR picking videos anyway, so I wanted to get everything off the top shelf so I could just reach it from my seat. Again, I know that sounds incredibly lazy, but that was the thought process. I was like, rather than me having to get up and down, up and down. So let's go through the physical TBR first. So this one shelf is going to be a little bit more awkward for me to film because I've got to kind of like, I can't stand, I can't quite kneel all the way. So I used to have fantasy on the top shelf, which you can't see because that's empty now, and essentially I've just dropped everything down one shelf. So I've still got fantasy here, and then this one here is fantasy. Then we go into romance and dark romance, and then under that is like holiday books and thrillers and sci-fi is down there. So let's go through this part first. I'm in focus and this isn't, which is kind of annoying, but anyway. So starting over here, we have Fearful by Lauren Roberts. This is a QBD special edition. I have the powerful one as well like this, and that's why I got this one, because I was like, you know, it's got to match because I'm a bit psycho like that. And then we have Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas. This is a a priority read of 2026. Book Bestie and I want to do a buddy read of this series and like start this series this year. And then this one here, Bride by Ali Hazelwood, is another buddy read book for me and Book Bestie. And then we have The Book of Azrael by Amber V. Nicole. We have What Did You Do by Janine O'Reilly. Leave Me Behind by K.M. Mornova. We have 2 books in the Married to Magic series by Elise Kova. So we have the second book, which is A Dance with a Fae Prince, which I say the second book, but they're actually standalones in a series, so you can read them in whatever way you want. And then I think A Duel with the Vampire Lord is book 3, I believe. And I believe that they're like retellings of like our childhood fairy tales, I think. And then we also have The Curse That Binds by Laura Thalassa. I didn't realize that was a prequel when I bought it, but I don't really care. And then this one again is like another really pretty like special edition kind of. It's Wings of Starlight, and it says by Saft. It's a Disney book, because I believe that this is like a Hollows Grove Pixies book or something, I think. I can't remember what it actually was that like I watched as a kid. But then we come into more fantasy. So we have the first one here, which is Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. Again, this is a like really pretty sprayed edge limited edition sort of one. It was the only one they had available of Catabasis at Kmart when I went to when I picked it up, and I was like, that's fine, I don't really care. And then we have, like, moving across this way, we've got Terror at the Gates by Scarlett St. Clair. Do I have that one on? I think I have A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair on the TBR for January, I believe. I also have Arcana Academy by Elise Kova. I've heard really, really good things about this so far, so I'm really interested to read that. Also have On Wings of Blood by Briere Boland, also the second book in that series as well, which is The Bonds That Burns. Again, it's another series that I'm really intrigued by. Book Bestie is actually the one that like told me about it. And then I started to see little bits and pieces of it on TikTok, so I am excited for it. I am going to swap sides so you guys can see this. And then we have this like stack here. So the top one is a book that was gifted to me by Book Bestie. It's called Fangs for Nothing by Stephanie Holmes. It sounds super interesting. Sounds like it's going to be like a silly haha good time and like a really easy cozy fantasy to read. So I'm super excited for that. The Game's God's Play by Abigail Owen. I really wanted to read that this year. I just didn't get around to it because I've been in a bit of a reading slump since like October to December, and I finally kicked it this month. So anyway, then we also have Heat of the Everflame by Pen Cole. Glow of the Everflame is sitting on my TBR cart because I want to read that ASAP. And then we have The North Wind by Alexandra Warwick. This is one of the books that if I don't read this year, it's going, because it's been on the TBR for like 2 years almost now. We also have A Forbidden Alchemy by Stacey McEwen. I believe that she's a TikToker and then wrote this book, and this is what the sprayed edges one from Kmart as well, because they only had the sprayed edges one. It's not a hardcover though, it's just like a paperback. And then we have The Night and the Moth by Rachel Gillick. Again, that's one that I'm really excited for. Then the next one down is Alchemized by Sin-Lin Yu. This one intimidates the absolute living daylights out of me. It's like over 1,000 pages long. It looks massive, but I've heard really interesting things and I'm super intrigued about it. So hopefully I'll get to that this year. And then on the bottom, this really pretty cover or really pretty spine that you can see is The Wind Weaver by Julie Johnson. I think there's another one in this series coming out this year, and I'm super excited for that. And then we have these books over here. There's 4 over here. We have Slaying the Vampire Conqueror, which is the 2.5 novella. So you have book 1, you have 1.5 novella, book 2, and then 2.5 novella. And so it's part of the Crowns of Nyaxia series. I'm intrigued to read it, but like I'm not going to stop myself from reading the rest of the series to read this book like I did with 6 Scorched Roses, because I regret doing that so much. And then we have Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. again, that's just one that like I'm really intrigued about because it seems to have everyone's knickers in a twist, so I'm super excited to read that. Then we have Cold Wire by Chloe Gong. This just sounded like a really interesting concept when I read it in the bookshop, and I know that I have a viewer that wants me to do like a reading vlog and include that, so I will be doing that soon. And then we have the third and final book in the Souls trilogy, which is Soul of a Witch by Harley LaRue. Again, this is another book that I'm super excited to dive into. And then let's move down a shelf. I'm actually going to sit over this side so we can keep going through the fantasy side of it. And at least now I'm fully in shot. So this is the last of the fantasy down here. Going from, let's start from this side across. So the one on the side here is The Light That Blinds Us by Andy Darcy Theo. This book was gifted to me for my birthday last year, so in 2024, for my birthday by my best friend. Again, it's a concept that I'm really intrigued in, but my thing was the cover. I just loved the look of this cover, and yes, I am someone that buys books based on covers. Sometimes it works out in my favor, sometimes it doesn't. I know you shouldn't judge a book by its cover, and I don't do that for all of it, but if I see a pretty book, I'm gonna buy it. Then we have A Court This Cruel and Lovely by Stacia Stark. I have read the back of this while doing these videos and like reorganizing this, and it sounds super interesting, so I really need to make that a priority this year. And then we have Empire of the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. That is another book that was gifted to me by Book Bestie for last year for Christmas, like 2024 Christmas. And this book just intimidates me. It's such a thick book. The writing is so tiny, so it just really intimidates me. I think I need to get it on my Kindle so I can read it there. It will intimidate me a lot less. And then coming this way, this is another book that Book Bestie gifted me. It is What Sleeps Within the Cove by Harper L. Woods. I have slight reservations with reading this book purely because I really disliked another book by her. However, I'm not going to write her off. I'll test this one and see what I think after that. So then we have the Fallen Academy series by Leah Stone. So I've got books 2, 3 and 4, or year 3 and 4 they say, because year 1 is on my January TBR, so it's sitting in my TBR cart, which we're going to go through that just after I do this. We're going to go through the TBR cart. And then I have 2 books in the Fallen series by Lauren Kate. I have the first book, and I think it's like the 4th or 5th book, purely because I had all different sizes. I did have the whole series, but I had all different sizes. I had hardcovers, I had soft covers. They were all different like editions in terms of like the sizing, and it was driving me nuts. And I know that sounds really silly and really petty, but when I have entire series, I like them to all be the same size. So I got rid of all of them except for 2, because I did see them in QBD Books the other day, and I do know that they come in one of these 2 sizes. I actually think it's this size over this size, which is like, this is like the shelf friendly print that they do. So you can see it is like a fair amount smaller. So I have a feeling they come in these sizes, but I kept both of these just so I could see. So I did like, I'm going to take this into the shop with me and figure out which size they are, and then I'll buy based off that. And now I'm going to swap sides so we can look at the romance and dark romance. Okay, so I have a little snow globe here just to hold this up because I have been reading a fair amount the past like couple of, like the past week. I literally read, I think I read like 3 books or 4 books. I'm on my 4th or 5th now. I'm currently reading Diabound. I haven't read for a couple of days just because of like Christmas, getting ready for that, wrapping presents and all that sort of stuff, but I have a few more days now where I can read. This weekend is going to be a really heavy reading weekend for me because I'm kid free. So I'm going to literally read, today's Friday, I'm going to read today, I'm going to read tomorrow, I'm going to read most of Sunday, and then that's it. So moving this way still, so we have just romance here at the moment, whether that be sports romance, whatever it is, it's all here. So the first one we have is The Wrong Game by Candy Steiner. This sounds like such an interesting concept to me and really funny. Essentially, I can't remember her name, so I'm not going to even try, but the girl, the FMC has decided that she is going to use the season tickets that she bought for her ex-husband and take a different guy to the game every time as a dating thing. And I think it's the bartender, who's the MMC, is determined to be the only date and like win her essentially. And it sounds super interesting, and the season tickets are for football games as well, so it's kind of like a sports romance but not, and I'm still keen to read it and see what it's about. I'm excited for it. Then we have Love Arranged by Lauren Asher. Again, this is another book that I had a lot of reservations to read because I did not like the first book in this series. Absolutely hated it. DNF'd it in like 9 chapters in. However, through just before Christmas for my 12 days of Bookmas, I actually listened to My December Darling by Lauren Asher, which was actually a Lake Wisteria novella. So it was one of, like, it was to do with this series. So I am going to give that a go. If then I don't like it, then I'm probably not going to read it. The reason why I didn't like the first one, which was Love Redesigned, was the FMC and the MMC were really, really childish, like whiny teenagers, and they were in their 30s, and it just really bothered me. I can't deal with that. It bothers me quite a lot. Then we have Consider Me by Becca Mack, which is a ice hockey romance. Really interesting. I think like she refuses to date ice hockey players because her best friend does, and even though her best friend's boyfriend is, you know, really nice and sweet and whatnot, she's like, no, not for me. So, and then the MMC is like, no, like I want you. So again, I love that concept. It's, you know, copy paste, but still love it. Then we have Revolve by Bel Cabra. I am very on the fence with this book. I think I have mentioned it before, but I listened to Spiral while I was building my child's bed when I got his single bed and, you know, got him out of the cot to a single bed. And I was listening to it on that, so I feel like I missed a few things when I was listening to it. And upon seeing other reviews of the book, I actually ended up doing like a mini skim read over it, like a reread, but not like a in-depth one. Like I just kind of skimmed it, and some of the things that I read and realized were happening in the book actually really bothered me. For example, like her having this huge major conflict with his celibacy. And the reason why I disliked it in that book is when I think back to The Right Move by Liz Tomforty. Yes, the FMC had like a small problem with it, but it wasn't the huge conflict. This, like his celibacy wasn't the huge conflict. It was like a small little thing, but it like wasn't like it wasn't the reason that we had like the huge conflict in the third act. So upon reflection and a skim reread of Spiral by Bel Cabra, I really just disliked that book, and you guys will see in a minute I've actually moved it, so you'll see soon as to where I moved it. But yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about Revolve if I'm going to read it. I probably will, just because it's the last book in the series, but we'll see. And then we have First Time Caller by BK Borison. I'm planning on reading that around Valentine's Day in 2026 because one, I've heard it's really good for Valentine's Day, and the next book comes out on the 28th of February, I believe. So it'll be perfect timing. I can read the first one and then, you know, be able to pick up the second one. And then we have this stack here. So we have Lights Out by Navessa Allen at the top, which is softly DNF'd for now. I will pick it up. I will read it, but I just haven't been in the mood for it. So that is softly DNF'd, but it's still here. We have Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. Again, I just want to like make my own opinion on this book. I've heard so many mixed reviews and I'm really curious to see what all the fuss is about. And then I have Brutal Prince by Sophie Lark and Savage Lover is down the bottom. I just haven't been bothered to put them together. I don't care. Again, Sophie Lark is an author that I discovered in 2025 and I actually really enjoy her writing. I read, what's it called? Stolen Air by her and Grimstone, and I loved both of them. So I'm very excited to continue on with this series specifically. Stolen Air is part of the Brutal Birthright series, and I think it's book 2, but they're like interconnected standalone, so you can read them out of order. It doesn't like super spoil anything for you. And then we have Burning Daylight by Emily McIntyre. I love Emily McIntyre, you guys know that. I literally rave about her all the time, so I'm excited to get into her new dark romance series. I believe this is a dark romance series, but I'm excited to get into it. And then we have Older by Jennifer Hartman. Again, I've just heard lots of things about this book. Super excited to read it. I've heard it's a really great dark romance. It's really chunky though, so anyway. And then we spoke about Savage Lover already. And then we have Five Brothers by Penelope Douglas, which is a taboo romance, dark romance. Love that. The only reason why I have this book is because I want to see what Penelope Douglas's writing is like, because I have spoken about it before. I really hated Corrupt by Penelope Douglas, but I've heard that just that book was shit. So I'm going to test that out and see. Then we have I Am Chameleon by A Double. This is the second book in this series. It's a duet, I believe, and it follows the two owners of the Spicy Club Chameleon. And the first book, which was Enter Chameleon, followed Jack and Megan, and this follows the other owner. I can't remember what his name is, but the other owner. And then we have Eyes on Me by Sarah Kate. This is book 2 in the Salacious Players Club. Again, super excited to continue on with more of Sarah Kate's books. I read 2 by her in 2025 and absolutely loved it. And then we have Wicked Beauty by Katie Robert. Again, super excited to continue on with that stuff. And then we have one more shelf to look at. Now this shelf is always the most awkward shelf to show you, but doing my best here, so don't mind me here like this. So down here we have like holiday books, a sci-fi, and then some thrillers or mystery thrillers, suspense thrillers, whatever you want to call them, a thriller. So I've got 5 Christmas books here. I have 2 from the Dream Harbor series, I think it's called, by Laurie Gilmore. Yeah, I thought so. So I've got the Gingerbread Bakery and the Christmas Tree Farm. I bought them for a festive like book shopping vlog in Bookmas and just didn't get around to reading them. I've also got Love Light Farms by B.K. Borison, which I would like to finish because I've started it, but anyway. Then we've got Good Spirits by B.K. Borison, Christmas Fling by Lindsay Kelk. That book I'm super excited to read. I may end up just like binging that really quickly before the end of the year. And then we've got The Secret Christmas Bookshop by Cressida McLaughlin. They're the only like holiday themed books I've got. I don't really care for like Halloween themed books. I'll just go and read like a mystery thriller. I don't really care for like Easter themed books either. To be fair, I don't really care for like themed books in general when it comes to like holiday themed books, but anyway. Then we've got my singular sci-fi book, which is Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And I really want to read that really soon. So does Book Bestie. I think that's going to be another buddy read because we want to read it before the movie comes out next year. And then we have The Safe Place by Anna Downs. Again, that's another author that I just really love. I've actually got 2 books by her. There's another one there called The Shadow House as well by Anna Downs, and I'm really excited to read that one specifically. But I just like Anna Downs' writing. When I read Red River Road, I really enjoyed that. So then we also have Never Lie by Frida McFadden. Frida McFadden is not my favorite like thriller author anymore. To me, her writing is kind of predictable. Her stories are kind of predictable. That's the thing that I dislike about it. And then we have Verity by Colleen Hoover. I am not super keen to read anything by Colleen Hoover, but that is the only book that intrigues me at least a little bit. I've just heard some really interesting things about it, so that's like the only one that I'm interested to read. So let's go through the TBR cart quickly and then we'll do my red shelf. Okay, so on my TBR cart there's 3 layers to it. The top one is usually like the TBR of the month, so I do my TBR videos and they will sit up here, and it's just easy to come and pick it. The next shelf down is like the next one. So when I film my TBR video, I obviously film it when I've still got like the monthly reads here. So I'll film it and then put them here so I can, you know, swap them over when the time comes. So what I usually end up doing when I've got the monthly TBRs, I just haven't done it at the moment because I don't have heaps of books up here. So usually my books will all be standing like this, and as I read them, I flip them this way, so that I know that I've read them and I can see what it is. So whatever I've read will usually be flipped pages out, but because I don't have many books up here at the moment, I've just got them down there. So these are 2 that I have read, which is why they're laying down. I've read these this month. Well, I'm still currently reading The Rose Bargain. I also read Unravel Me and Ignite Me by Tahera Murphy. I am just not doing like a December reading wrap up. I'm gonna probably like include it in my January one. We'll see, because I've already done an end of year wrap up before I read all these. So, but I've read No Place Left to Hide by Megan Lally, Unravel Me and Ignite Me by Tahera Murphy. I'm currently reading The Rose Bargain, and I'm also because I'm listening to that on Audible, and I'm also currently reading Diebound by, I forget her name, Fable. And then the other 2 books that I've got up here that I really would love to read before the end of the year, probably not, it'll probably be towards the start of next year, is A Crown So Silver by Laris Lean and Glow of the Everflame by Penn Cole. So that's why they're on the top there like that. And then, like I said, the next one down, you can just see these books. I'm not going to lower you down because there's nothing on the bottom shelf at the moment. It's just like storage. I've got a little container for when I do my TBRs, like prompts and stuff when I do physical ones. I've also just got like a little box down here just for storage. And then on this shelf I have 2 little containers that are my like TBR prompts. So I have one that is like a book blah blah blah, or you know, the actual prompts, whereas the other one, the big one that you can just see here, actually has every single book on my physical TBR printed, and I pull them out like that, and then that's the book that I read for the month, or like gets added to the TBR. The reason why I don't have a lot of books for January is because there is a lot of new releases coming out. I think there's like 4 that I have my eye on, so I wanted to pick a little bit less. And then also Book Bestie and I will probably be reading When the Moon Hatched as a buddy read. So, but the first one we have is Free Fall by Sarah Kate. Again, super excited to read that. This is the second book in the Wild Boys duet. I think this follows the son, Nash. And then we have Does It Hurt by H.D. Carlton. Again, super excited for that and to get into more of HD's work because I've only read the Cat and Mouse duet, which I did love. So I'm really excited to read more of her stuff. We have A Kiss Before Dying by Ira Levin, which apparently, I think it was written in 1950 something and is like classed as like a modern classic. So I don't know how I feel about it, we'll see. And then we have Grumpy Darling by Alexandra Moody. I read Rival Darling last year, like mid 2025, and I absolutely loved it. So I'm excited to see how I feel about that book. Then we have Year One, A Fallen Academy by Leah Stone. Like I said, it was on here. And I also said A Touch of Darkness by Scarlett St. Clair is on the physical TBR for the month, the January TBR. And then we have the first book in the Sugar Lake series by Emily McIntyre, which is Beneath the Stars, that I'm super excited to read. I've heard it's very, very cute and sweet. And also the cover is just stunning. I think I showed you in my January TBR, but just in case you haven't seen that, let's just take a minute to appreciate how stunning this cover is. It is so pretty. I'm obsessed. I think it is absolutely gorgeous. And that's the TBR cart. So now we are going to go through my white shelves, which is everything that I have read that's not on the favorites and special edition shelf. Okay, so I know that this is a little bit of an awkward angle, but if I go that side, you're not going to get any light. So you guys are gonna have to deal with this awkward angle here. But as you can see, I have literally cleared the shelves so much that I now have like heaps of room to fill this up this year as well, which super excited for. But I have the top 2 shelves are empty and the bottom 3 shelves are completely full, and then the middle shelf is partly full. So we have like romance, sport romance, and like holiday romances here. So except for one, I've put one of the holiday romances in the dark romance section because it's a dark romance. But essentially here we have Ride With Me by Simone Soltani, Her Greatest Mistake by Hannah Cowan, The Other Brother by Tyranny Page. Then we have the Windy City series here by Liz Tomforty, so Mile High, The Right Move, Caught Up, Play Along, and Rewind It Back. And then we have Holiday Ever After by Hannah Grace, which is a holiday book that I read in my 24-hour reading-a-thon that actually didn't end up turning into that because my kid was sick. And then I have this beautiful carnelian crystal that sits on top of the Windy City series. And then I have this fake plant from Kmart because I love the way it dangles down. I think it looks really pretty, and I'm using it as like a bookend at the moment. So let's drop down a little bit and talk about this shelf. Sorry about just the little head in the corner, but you guys can deal with that. So like, as you guys can see, I have LED lights as well. You guys know that I have the LED lights there. The only reason why I don't have them on the TBR one is because it would be really difficult because they've got like the dividers randomly in the middle. So it's the only reason why I don't have that there. Anyway, this is Fantasy into Dystopian down here. So here we've got The Last Dragon King in the corner by Leah Stone. We then go on to The Cruel Prince by Holly Black. And then we have the Cursed Fae series by Leah Stone and Julie Hall. With the Cursed Fae series, you've got Cold Hearted, Faint Hearted, Broken Hearted, Black Hearted. It is similar to ACOTAR in the first book, but it does change a little bit. It's kind of like the first book in ACOTAR expanded more and then slightly different. So I actually really hated the first book originally because of that. I liked the storyline and the concept, but there was just a lot of similarities between that one and ACOTAR that it bothered me quite a lot, but I got past it as I read more. So then we have Vampire Academy by Rachel Mead. So all 6 of the books, I have only read the first book, but I needed more room over here, so I put it over here. Just the rest of them, I know that I need to, you know, read these. So I've got Vampire Academy, Frostbite, Shadow Kiss, Blood Promise, Spirit Bound, and Last Sacrifice. And then we have the, what's this called? I can't remember what this series is called. Saga of the Unfated. So I have the Saga of the Unfated here, book 1 and book 2, A Fate Inked in Blood and A Curse Carved in Bone by Danielle L. Jensen. Really interesting concept. If you like Nordic mythology, you'll probably like that quite a lot. Then we have Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. I do need to buy Ruthless Vows, but I want this big edition. I don't want the little one, and I've only found the little one so far. So then we have Spark of the Everflame by Penn Cole. You know, very keen to get through the rest of that series. The cliffhanger that this was left on was really amazing, but I really disliked the first book, but I've heard that the second book is far better, so I am intrigued to continue on with it. Then we have Her Soul to Take and Her Soul for Revenge, which is the first 2 books in the Souls trilogy by Harley LaRue. Again, I really love those books. They are available for purchase on my Etsy shop for annotating, like annotated books. Then we have the Shadow Me series here, which I am planning on continuing past this. I just need to buy the rest of the books. And we have a beautiful little candle here just to help keep, you know, everything down. I never light it, like it's never been lit, but it still smells really beautiful, and it just helps keep the cover down and like fill the space a little bit. And then on the end we have The Host by Stephanie Meyer, which is my favorite book by her. I really love that concept, really love the like part dystopian sci-fi of it, really love that. Let's drop down and look at my dark romance shelf. I know that it's a little bit hard to see in this section because of the lighting, I'm sorry. There's not much I can do about that. It's a very overcast day. Yes, you are going to see a special edition here. It's purely because I only have one special edition of that series and didn't have the room to put all of these on. I would like to get the rest of the collector's editions. I'm going to see if I can buy them progressively over the next few months. The first books on this shelf is the Cat and Mouse Duet by H.D. Carlton. So we've got Haunting and Hunting Adeline, which I love these covers and I just love the books in general. And then we have this beautiful collector's edition of Hooked by Emily McIntyre. You can see it's like that. It's got no dust jacket. It's got beautiful sprayed edges. Says Darling on it because he calls her that. He says Wendy Darling. And it also does have artwork in it as well, which I think is so stunning. This is from like a particular scene. I do want to reread this book this year. I actually would love to reread this entire series. And then as well, I'm pretty sure this is actually like hand signed. I don't think it's printed on. I'm not 100% sure, but it is also signed by her. These collector's editions were signed. So this one, and then you've also got like the little like tab to the little ribbon to be able to, you know, if you do read that copy. I will be reading my original paperbacks because I want to annotate them. So then we go into the rest of the Never After series. So we've got all 6 books of the Never After series here. So we have Hooked, Scarred, Wretched, Twisted, Crossed, and Hexed. They're all by Emily McIntyre. Like I said, Hooked, you know, I've got 2 versions of Hooked there because I've got the collector's edition. Then we move on to the Maid series by Danielle Laurie. So we've got The Sweetest Oblivion, The Maddest Obsession, and The Darkest Temptation. I liked the first and the third book. I have heard that there's a 4th book coming out and I'm super excited to read that one as well. I think it's going to be called The Purest Addiction. I think that's coming out this year. I'll have to double check. And then this is the Christmassy book that came out this year called Silent Night. It's a very, very short book. If you guys saw my like festive readathon that I did, you'll know that book because I spoke about it in that. And then we go into the start of the Dark Olympus series. So Neon Gods and Electric Idol by Katie Robert. I've only read those 2 books, but I am excited to read more. And then we have Praise by Sarah Kate. Again, this is a book that I absolutely loved and I'm super excited to read more of hers. Eyes on Me is the next one in that series. And then we have Enter Chameleon. I've got I Am Chameleon over on the TBR shelf. And then we have Pen Pal by JT Geisinger. We have Sarah Kate's Gravity, which is the first book in the Wild Boys series. And then we have Grimstone by Sophie Lark. And then we have, I can't remember what this series is actually called. It's Beautiful Something, but it's by Jeremy Maguire. You've got Beautiful Disaster, Walking Disaster, A Beautiful Wedding. I think there is actually more books in this series. And then we have Stolen Air by Sophie Lark at the front. And behind that is the Twisted series by Anna Huang. I was not a huge fan of that series, so that lives back there because I don't really care to see it. Again, I have just got like another little fake plant from Kmart. I need to get another stacker. You'll see in a minute. I've put all of my stackers over there apart from one down the bottom. You'll see in a second. So let's do the last shelf on here before we get into the favorites and special editions. Again, another awkward angle, and sorry for the lighting over there. There's a chair kind of blocking some of the light from over there, so it's a little bit harder to get some extra light in there. And like I said, it's a super overcast day as well. On this shelf, you may be wondering, Justine, why is this like this? I will tell you very soon. Let's go from that end over this way. So the first book down this end is Red River Road by Anna Downs. Again, I read that book by her and just like absolutely fell in love with it. So I'm very eager to read more of her stuff. This shelf we have thriller through to young adult, and then I'll explain what this is in a minute. After Red River Road, we have That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. That book absolutely gut-wrenched me and I loved it so much. I read it during a like reading in the spooky books for a week and loved it. Absolutely loved it. Thought it was a great book. Tell me why a young adult thriller had me sobbing my eyes out. And then next across we have Deadly Occupants by Mads Rafferty, which this book was also really fantastic. I cannot stop talking about this book. I think it is absolutely amazing. It is like Scream meets like Paranormal Activity meets Pretty Little Liars. It's a great book and I love it. And then next across we have 2 books by Frida McFadden. So we have The Inmate and One by One. Again, like I said, she is like, she's a solid author, but I think I find her books more predictable. So for example, like reading Deadly Occupants and That's Not My Name and Red River Road, I did not see the plot twist coming. I didn't see the whodunit. Like I did not see that coming in any way, shape or form. So I think that there is other better mystery thrillers out there than Frida McFadden's. And I'm sorry if that upsets some people, but like, it's just, you know, reading is very subjective, and that's my view on Frida McFadden. Then we have Rival Darling by Alexandra Moody. This was the book that I read this year that really took me by surprise. Then we have the Heartstopper series, books 1 through 4, or volumes 1 through 4. I do need to read 5 and 6 comes out this year, so I am excited for that series, but like to finish off that series, but I'm also kind of sad about it as well. And then we have The Boys of Tom in here, and like I said, I've got these things called stackers. They're makeup palette holders. And so if I pulled it out, it would be this acrylic palette holder that would have other books stacked behind it. And it does. I'm not sure if you can see one back there. The reason why Keeping 13 is facing out like that in the middle of the series is because it's my favorite book in the series and it's one of my favorite books of this year. It is super hard to pick my favorite book this year. I have Keeping 13 by Chloe Walsh. I have For Whom the Bell Tolls by J.C. Lynn, Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros, and Quicksilver by Callie Hart. They're like my 4 favorite books this year, and it is so hard to pick anything else, and I can't pick like a favorite out of those 4. So that's why Keeping 13 is facing out. But we have Binding 13, Keeping 13, Saving 6, Redeeming 6, Taming 7, and Releasing 10. And then behind here, there is a little bit of space. And then I've got 2 classics. I've got Anne of Green Gables and The Secret Garden. And I also have A Dog's Way Home, Personality Plus, and Think Like a Monk by Jay Shetty. So I have those back there. Then I've got this pretty little decoration here, and I have that there for a reason, because when I explained to you what this is, I needed a separation between this shelf and the rest of it. The reason why these books are faced like that, actually they're also upside down. You won't be able to tell that, but I know they are. This is what I call my shelf of shame. These are books that I really disliked this year, or as I read them, I just could not stand them. Some of them I've thrown across the room, some of them I DNF'd, some of them I read them all the way through to the end to, you know, give them that chance, and I still hated them. So they're on the shelves, they're upside down, and they do not deserve to see the light of day, and they face that way. So yeah, the reason as well why they're in this corner and not in that corner, you'd be thinking like, you know, get them out of the sun, like, you know, out of shot. When I put my chair here that I film on, you can't really see this, it kind of hides them, so they're literally like out of sight, out of mind, and that's why I ended up putting them there. I know that's really mean. I do know that this one here is Corrupt by Penelope Douglas. These ones are Bones Deep and Knuckles Deep by Ivy Graves. This one is How Does It Feel by Janine O'Reilly. This one is Love Redesigned by Lauren Asher. This one is Our Infinite Fates by Laura Stephen. This one is Spiral by Bal Cabra, and this one is The Coven by Harper L. Woods. If that doesn't tell you how much I disliked them because I remember all of them, it should. Okay, let's get on to the favorites and special editions shelf. Okay, so this is my favorites and special editions. So on the top shelf here, I've got these sprayed edges of the Off the Eye series by Bal Cabra, so Collide and Spiral. Yes, I've kept Spiral here just because I've got the sprayed edition and I don't want to get rid of it because I like it. And then I have Icebreaker and Wildfire. Part of the reason why I put them there is because I have this collector's edition of Wildfire, so you guys know what these are. That's why they're there, just to kind of tie in with that. And also they're like, these are ice hockey, college ice hockey romances, and so are these. So that's why they're there like that. And then I also have this beautiful Ocean Jasper crystal that again just sits on top just to keep the pages down. And then we go into my Crowns of Nyaxia series. So I have all of my standard paperback editions as well as my special editions with the sprayed edges and the beautiful hardcovers. Like, I love them so much, and I wish I could display all of them in such a way where you could see both, but I just don't have the room for that. Maybe one day when I have my own like home library I will. But we have these two are the Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. We have 6 Scorched Roses. Sorry, no, that was wrong. These two are The Wings and the Serpent of Night. Then we have the 6 Scorched Roses. Then we have the Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, like special edition and paperback. Then we have, I think this one is Slaying the Vampire Conqueror. Yes, it is. Although I haven't read it yet. I bought the special edition because it was beautiful. The only one that I'm not buying the special edition of so far is 6 Scorched Roses. Don't care for it. I didn't like that book. So then we have The Songbird and the Heart of Stone here. And then we have The Fallen and The Kiss of Dusk. And I didn't really like this special edition. I think that this special edition was really let down by it. Like, the cover's really beautiful, but I think the sprayed edges was a little bit, I don't know, lacking. I will obviously get the next 2 books in that series as well. But let's move down one, shall we? These shelves are going to be so difficult to show you and show you everything. That should be fine because you can see what these are. So here we have my entire Empyrean series collection. So I've got my, like, all here. So I've got my standard hardcovers, which were the ones that I read and have annotated. Then we have the ANZ, so Australia, New Zealand special editions, which I do love because they actually all line up. So I love that about those. And then we have like the shelf friendly editions that came out in this one, which I also read and annotated specifically for Onyx Storm to get like these also have like the extra chapters from Zayden's POV in them. These 2 do. And I will absolutely be buying Onyx Storm if that ever comes out in that version as well. And I do want to get the hardcover of it because this is my favorite series. So, and then we have the standard paperback editions. I've never read these 2 paperback ones. I have read the Onyx Storm one though, because that was the only one that was available at the time. And then here we have Quicksilver by Callie Hart, and behind it I think is my Twilight series because I just don't really care for Twilight. But I have Quicksilver here on the front and then For Whom the Bell Tolls on the side here. Yeah, because they're some of my favorite books. Let's drop down and talk about the next shelf. The bottom shelf on this as well is just kind of storage. I've just got like bubble wrap and boxes and stuff for orders. So we've only got one more shelf. On this shelf we have A Feather So Black here in the corner because again it's one of my favorite books. I'm gonna have to reorganize this a little bit once I finish reading A Crown So Silver and whatnot. I might end up having to put stuff down here. I don't know. We will see. Maybe I'll just end up getting another bigger shelf. I don't know. I don't really want to get too much for this house because I will be moving soon. So anyway, so we've got A Feather So Black by Lyra Celine, and then we have 2 powerful novella special editions. And the reason why I've got 2 is because I love the hardcovers on these and I would love to have both so I can do both, or like, you know, get another type of like hardcover that is the same dimensions, but that's really difficult to do. So I found this on sale at Target for $18 instead of $39. It was literally half price. I was like, I'm gonna get it. So I've got that, so I have both the beautiful dust jacket as well as the stunning hardcover as well. And then we have Powerless by Lauren Roberts, Reckless. Behind Reckless is all of my paperbacks of the Powerless series, and I think I've got First Position by someone and A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston behind there as well because I just didn't care for them, so I wanted them hidden. And then we have Fearless and Fearful. Yes, I haven't read Fearful yet, but I bought it anyway because I'm going to complete the set anyway. And Reckless is facing out because as much as Reckless wasn't like my favorite book in terms of like storyline and what they were doing, I loved the cover the most, and I also just really loved watching like the banter between the 2 of them. You really only read this series for the banter between the 2 of them anyway. So then we have A Core, like Akatar. This is one of the series that will probably move back onto this shelf once I need more space on these shelves, because as much as yes I really loved this series, it's not as popular, it's not as much of a favorite as some of the other ones. Like my favorite book in that series was A Quarter Wings of Ruin, and that's it. Whereas like with the Empyrean series, all 3 of them I love. Quicksilver I absolutely loved, but I'm still currently reading Brimstone and I don't know how I feel about that, so that might even be one that moves, but I love this artwork, so that might still stay there anyway. But yeah, as I need more room, these will be the ones that'll probably move. And then again, I have just like another little cute candle just to help hold it down. Again, never lit, but you can still smell it, so it still works. And then in here in the corner, you can't really see it, but I have Court of the Vampire Queen because that was a favorite of this year. It almost was a 5-star read, but it wasn't because of a couple of little things. So that's my entire book collection. I can't believe I've just done that. I am going to end this video here. I'm not going to bother pulling my chair back out because I am starving. I need to go eat. I need to go feed a child as well. Okay, everyone, that is the end of today's video. I also just want to wish everyone a happy new year, and I hope that this year brings you you get all your goals this year and you prosper this year and just thrive this year. I really, really hope that, you know, 2026 is everyone's year this year. I know I need it. But yeah, that is the end of today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy it. If you did enjoy it, please like and subscribe. Also comment down below what you guys want to see this year, what kind of videos and content you guys want to see from me this year. I have some ideas of some new things that I want to be doing this year to kind of integrate what I used to do on this channel and what I do now. So I'm excited to be doing that later this year as well. I'm going to try and do one like every month. We'll see if that actually happens though. If you don't already follow me on TikTok and Instagram, I'll link them on the screen screen as well as in the description below. My goal this year is to be a lot more active over there on both of them. So follow along, see if I actually am a little bit more active. I'm not going to tell you what more active looks like, but I want to be more active over there. If you would like any annotated books from me, head over to my Etsy shop. It's linked on the screen and in the description below as well. I also have an Instagram for my Etsy shop as well that is the same as my Etsy, like as commentary corner, what comes up on the screen. It's exactly the same on Instagram. So you can follow me over there as well. Yeah, that's the end of today's video. I hope you guys did enjoy it and I will see you in the next one. Bye. Mwah.